Hello. Thought I'd jump on here. It's been a while. Um, just a little life update. Got my own place, been managing it and liking it. Yay. It's only taken me forever to finally get my own place, but I got it. Yay. Um, I just had a really quick thought when I was just chilling in my room today. I was thinking to myself, you know, I really could have been a Trump supporter. I mean, all the signs were totally there. I was totally into the anti SJW movement. I was totally an anti feminist. I mean, even now, I still have my issues with like feminism. I'd say BuzzFeed or whatever. But like, after everything that's happened the last 4 years, considering everything, ultimately, these are not the problems that are actually affecting my life. But I look at it and I look at like the fact that, you know, I mean, I come from a working class family. I've struggled most of my life. My parents are divorced. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I should be a Trump supporter. I fit the demographic. I come from a very blue collar background, you know? And for a long time, I never really identified with like liberals on like a cultural level, if it makes sense, because it was like they had a sort of snooty attitude and an upper crust look at things that I could never really identify myself with. Um, that liberal elite type shit. My, I mean, most of the people I knew just had to work for a living. Um, And if they did go to college, most of them just wound up doing like some kind of service industry job eventually anyway, since nobody can ever find a job in the like place that they studied for, you know? Everything just feels so different too after Donald Trump. The way people even talk to each other, it's like walking on glass or eggshells if you're lucky. Um, Not gonna lie, it just makes me so anxious when I go outside and I talk to anybody. Everyone's always on edge or they're like operating in their own cocoon of shit that they're dealing with. And I guess all of us are. Other people really are hell. Like, forget when, but just a few days or so ago, I went to, was it 7-Eleven? Went to go and grab a door. Tried to tell this man, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Excuse me." And he stood between both of the doors on his phone. And I kept asking him politely to, "Please, sir, would you please move out of the way?" And he wouldn't. He just stared at his phone. He could notice the guy in front of him, but every time I said, "Excuse me," he just didn't hear me. He was too busy on his phone, it seemed like. And when I tried to grab the door, even after he went in, like smacked into my hand, and I'm like, great. One thing a lot of people I've noticed lately just seem to also lack on a social level is the inability to see themselves in other people. Nobody has any kind of introspection anymore. No one has the ability to like look within themselves and ask themselves, if I was in this other person's position, how would I feel in this situation right now? I see that all the time. Not just online with Karen compilations and shit like that, but like in real life as well, like the real life Karens, where you you you're just trying to go about your day and somebody just has to make it so much harder than it really needs to be, or give a comment or an opinion on something. It's like, I'm just trying to get in here, buy what I need, and be left alone. Don't stare at me or try it, like, talk under your breath. Like, it just makes so many small interactions anymore just that much more difficult. You know, I go and I freaking, for example, I went into a CVS like months ago and I didn't have my mask with me when I left the house. So I went into a CVS to get a mask. So I like covered my mouth, and this guy, this grown man, kept staring at me the entire time. The entire time. And I was nervous as hell. I'm like, why is this grown man just staring at me? I just want to grab a mask and go. And he just kept staring at me and staring at me. Eventually, I was able to get my stuff and go, but it was just stuff like that that just made it so much harder. You know, I now understand why people are like the hikikomoris in Japan. Like, who wants to go out and deal with people anymore? It's so exhausting. It's just so absolutely exhausting. And as much good as I think, cell phones provide, being able to film and upload online, I also feel like it totally changes the dynamic of people's ability to interact with one another. I remember you could just talk to somebody and you had a problem with them and you could squash it right there and then. Now it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to film you and get a reaction out of you, you know? And it just builds up a tension between other people. But on the other end of that, I've also thought of like even doing that even at work, because where I work at, the people I deal with every day, they love to just talk down to me constantly. I work in a very like upper crust, like housing association. Not going to say the name of it, but they're so rude and they will talk down to you. They love, I mean, it's one thing when I get called because I'm a security guard, not going to say the company for obvious reasons, but they'll talk down to you constantly. I mean, it's one thing if it's some teenager who wants to call you a rent-a-cop, I kind of expect that. But when you are a grown adult person and you want to just talk down to another adult or another human being, like, what in the world makes you think that that's okay to do? I can't tell you how many adult men have come up to me, hey, renter cop, slow down, or some shit like that. And I'm just like, really, man? Yeah, I know I'm no different than a cashier at Taco Bell. I don't have some like superiority about myself. Just just be decent. Just be a decent person. I'm not demanding anything ridiculous other than decency. What happened to people anymore? No one can talk to each other anymore. It's like people are just screaming at one another. I know that people are just anxious and tired because of pandemic stress and a number of other factors, but so many people lack any level of like social introspection in themselves anymore. It's ridiculous. These people who are adults are anything other than adults. You're just a grown adolescent. That's all you fucking are. I saw one instance. It was in um this area that I work at. It was at a gas station. It was at a Chevron station. And this woman, mind you, like I said, it's kind of an upper crusty neighborhood. They like a housing association place. It's huge development. Anyway, this woman, she walks around the counter and she freaking screams at the top of her lungs at this cashier. you know I go there when I need to get gas for where I work at, And this woman kept screaming down at this man. And he was like an elderly man. He had to easily be in his 60s, just screaming at him. The other people in line kept making excuses for, like, oh, he went and he didn't fill up her gas or whatever, like 4 times. And it's like, I'm thinking in the back of my head, it's like, that still doesn't give you any right to go behind a desk, go behind a fucking counter without a mask on, mind you, and scream down at an elderly man who must have been fucking terrified. And it was one of those situations where it's like, you look back at it and you're like, I had the best thing I should have said or done, and you didn't do it. I didn't do it because I was at work. I had my uniform on, and the last thing I need is someone to film me or say something to me so I can lose my job. But goddamn, like, you're not the only person in the universe. Everybody is dealing with something right now. Everybody's going through things. I don't know why people think that they are just so entitled to just degrade another person. You know? You think that these people who are cashiers or retail or wherever love their job? They just do it because they just love it so much. No, they do it because they need to fucking survive. And people just, they don't, I mean, there's no point at which you can tell where they stop themselves and ask, where am where is my anger honestly coming from? Where Why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? You know? Maybe it's not the other person. Maybe it's me. Like, you can tell that they lack that introspection. They lack that emotional intelligence to ask themselves, where did I go wrong? You know? Like I said, just grown adolescents. Uh, well, thanks for listening. Um, I'm hoping I can actually make more videos more regularly. Um, but thank you to anybody who watches these videos. I appreciate it. Have an amazing day. Okay, bye.